door is already closed. The choice is already made. He is standing on the other side of it, not in chaos, not in tears, and something quieter than either. The apartment has a shape now, the specific shape of everything that used to occupy it. He breathes, uses the word clarity somewhere in his mind, the way people reach for words when they need to believe something before they actually feel it. He chose this. He wanted this. So why does standing here in the silence he built feel less like arriving somewhere and more like the first moment of something he has not yet been given a name for? That is the question no one asks him. Not what happened, not whose fault, but this, what is actually living inside him now in the quiet hours, in the ordinary moments, when the choice finally has to be felt and not just decided. Because here is the truth about men who walk away from love that was actually real. The silence they come home to is never empty. It has a shape, the exact shape of everything they left behind. Men who walk away from real love almost never speak about what follows, not because they feel nothing, because the grief belongs to a loss they authored, and that kind of grief has no social permission to exist. He cannot call anyone. He cannot ask for comfort. It lives entirely inside him, unnamed, unacknowledged, with nowhere to land. This is what that silence actually contains, not the absence of feeling. Everything he never said out loud. In the first hours, the relief is real enough to believe. Quieter now. He tells himself that is the same as peace. He moves through the first day with deliberate normalcy. Coffee, phone, the space he now has entirely to himself. And for a brief, borrowed while, the words feel almost accurate. Right decision. Needed this clarity. But underneath that surface, something else is already moving. The quiet of a room without her has a texture he did not anticipate. Not open, not free, weighted, specific. He reaches for something that is not there and does not immediately understand what he was reaching for. Relief, and when it is genuine, feels like arrival. This feels like the first page of something he has not yet been introduced to. He thought the silence would feel like space. What it actually felt like was shape, the exact shape of everything she used to fill. By the second week, the ordinary moments begin to carry her, not the dramatic ones, the quiet ones. A Tuesday evening with a particular quality of light she would have noticed and named. A song through a speaker in a public place that moves through him before he can stop it. The way silence in a room sounds, different now than it did before. He knew what her presence sounded like. This is not nostalgia. It is more physical than that. When two people form a genuine bond, the brain structures itself chemically around a specific person's presence. Those pathways do not dissolve when contact ends. They remain dormant, intact, and when something ordinary reactivates them, what he experiences is not a memory. It is his body registering an absence it was built to expect a presence. He reaches for his phone. He does not send anything. What passes through him in that pause, between the impulse and the decision not to act on it, is the full weight of everything at once. The grief has no permission to exist. He left, so it lives entirely inside him, pressing against walls not built to hold it. The silence he gave her was not the absence of feeling. It was feeling with no place left to go. Weeks pass, then months, and quietly, without announcing itself, something accumulates.
He meets people.
Has evenings that are good, connections that carry warmth but land at a particular distance from what he is unconsciously measuring them against. Not deliberately, not with a checklist. The body simply knows when something is almost right, feels the millimeter of difference between a door that closes and one that truly seals. What she gave him was not general warmth. It was specific, irreducibly hers. The way she held the weight of what he said without rushing to fix it. The way she saw the version of him that lived underneath the performance. Uncertain, unfinished, real, and was not alarmed by it. The arithmetic is not dramatic. It accumulates quietly. One this is fine but not quite right at a time, until the answer becomes impossible to argue with. He was not looking for her specifically. He was looking for what she made him feel. And slowly, without mercy, without announcement, the understanding arrived. Those two things were the same. It does not come with noise. That is what no one tells you about the real reckoning. It comes on a Tuesday, in a nothing moment, when the light has a quality that belongs to her and always will. Maybe he is driving. Maybe he is mid-conversation with someone who has done nothing wrong. And still, Still, there is the distance, the millimeter that never closes. He forecasted freedom. He did not forecast this, the specific, undeniable weight of understanding what he chose to give up. He begins to see the difference between what he walked away from and what he walked away into. The first was real, tested, layered, the kind of thing that only exists between specific people who earned their way into each other's actual interior. The second was a story, a version of freedom that sounded correct when he was telling it to himself and has been quietly, irrefutably dismantled by every experience since. She was not just someone he loved. She was the standard, the reference point against which everything that followed would be privately, relentlessly measured and found. Not broken, not terrible, just not her. He did not lose her the day he walked away. He lost her slowly, in every experience that was supposed to replace her and couldn't, in every moment that was almost as good but never quite, in every conversation that was fine, just fine, and nothing he had ever felt before had ever been just fine. And yet he does not go back, because going back would require the dismantling of something he has been building since the moment he left, not just a decision, an identity. Pride in men who love and leave is not arrogance. It is architecture, the psychological structure built around the one thing they cannot afford to fully examine, that they were wrong about something that mattered. Going back would require saying that out loud, undoing every justification, every month of I made the right choice stacked carefully into something that now looks like a self. Some men would rather live inside a wrong story than face the cost of rewriting it, not because they do not feel, but because feeling it and acting on it are separated by the entire weight of who they have decided they are. She is still in him. That is the final truth. Neuroscience does not allow the brain to erase what it recognized as significant. She is not stored as an ordinary memory. She is woven into how his nervous system now recognizes warmth, connection, the specific feeling of being genuinely known. She is in the quality of evening light, in songs that belong entirely to her and always will, in moments of real joy that arrive with a slight shadow, because the person he most wants to tell is the one he chose to lose. The silence he created was never empty. He filled it without meaning to, without being able to stop, with everything he walked away from. And it has been full of her ever since. Here is what psychology confirms, and what he will almost certainly never say out loud. A man who walks away from someone he truly loved does not find peace in the silence. He finds her in it, in every quiet space, in every ordinary moment that carries the shape. It was the fullest evidence of how much he felt, and how completely unprepared he was to carry it. For the last several minutes, you have been inside his world. Now, fully, deliberately, with every word earned, this is for you. You loved someone with your whole self in the room. And there is a specific exhaustion that comes from loving someone completely while slowly understanding they are receiving your depth as ordinary. You brought the actual weight of who you are, your presence, your honesty, the part of you that loves without a ceiling, and you offered it. That cost something real. His silence was never a verdict on you. It was never the sound of someone who saw you fully and found you wanting. It was the sound of someone who was not yet built to hold what you were offering. His emotional ceiling was never your floor. His limitations were never your definition. You did not lose because you loved too much. You did not lose because you were too present, too real, too fully alive in the feeling. You lost because he was not yet capable of holding what you offered without eventually being overwhelmed by it. That is not a flaw in you. That is a limitation in him. And the distance between those two things is not interpretation. It is the simple, clear truth of what happened. What you deserve is not someone who discovers your value in the months after you are gone. Someone who requires the education of your absence to understand what your presence was worth. What you deserve is someone who sees it while you are standing right there. His silence was never proof that you were not enough. It was proof that he had not yet become enough to deserve what you were offering him. And those two things could not be more different. If this gave language to something you have been carrying quietly, let it land. The like button is there as agreement, not a favor. Subscribe if you are someone who feels deeply and finally deserves to understand why. You are not alone in what you carried. You never have to be.